Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage. Welcome to a sort of one-off edition of Stellaris here, where I'm going to be taking a look at the Ancient Relics DLC that came out a couple of weeks ago. Apologies to my regular viewers that I haven't put any videos out for a while, just had a lot of stuff on and taken a bit of a hiatus, but I will be returning and continuing my sort of series that I have in progress. I was hoping to cover Ancient Relics a couple of weeks ago when it launched, but I was quite busy off to E3 and everything, so I didn't really get around to it then, even though I did get an early access version of it. But it did give me a bit of time to play around with it, so I'm going to jump in and sort of start a new game. Hopefully I can show you what the new mechanics are about. I'm going to use one of my pre-made empires that I've used in other games before. Like I said, it's not really going to be a full game, so it's not really that important. I'm going to turn Iron Man mode off. We don't need that on. This should be fine, so we'll just jump in. So, if you're not already aware of it, Ancient Relics is a story pack for Stellaris. Stellaris has various different types of DLC, so it has like major updates that add lots of new mechanics and change the way the game works. It has content packs that add like new portraits, new types of aliens, new ship types and things like that. And it has story packs which mostly add to the RPG side of things. This is one of those story packs, but it does have an interesting new mechanic in there. So let's go ahead and see if I can show you those. We'll go ahead and just quickly start some research. Anything that boosts our research is worth grabbing nice and early, and extra minerals. Now, one thing you will notice with this DLC is you will end up needing more scientists than you usually do, so be prepared for that. Let's go ahead and start by getting our science ship, which already has a scientist on board. We'll go ahead and survey this system. We'll get our construction ship to go here, and as soon as it has enough money, start building some mining stations. We will need at least one more science ship, so let's go to the shipyard and get another science ship. And I'm going to go up to a faster speed. Like I said, this won't be a full playthrough. It's mainly just to show you guys what the main new mechanic is that has been added in. And it's something called Archaeological Sites. Bear with me a moment. Just turn the gain down on my microphone. Seems to be clipping. There we go. So the main new mechanic is what is called Archaeological Dig Sites, essentially. And the mechanic that is added to them is a little bit similar in many ways to... Oh, we don't have enough energy. The mechanic in many ways is similar to the siege mechanic in Europa Universalis 4. Now that might sound a little bit weird, especially if you've played EU4, because you'll be thinking, well, how does a dig site, an archaeological dig site work like a siege? But as soon as I find one and show you guys, I'm sure you will realise. So there's also a new planet type. There are Relic Wells that are added in this DLC. Relic Wells are actually quite strong. They have some very good pre-built buildings on them, but when you find them, they're in kind of a dilapidated state, and you have to sort of fix them up before they're really usable. But they are nice worlds to find. They've also added two new precursor races, which are the Baul and the Zroni. And you find the Baul and Zroni via completing these archaeological dig sites. Now, because this is a story pack, I don't want to spoil too much, so I will try and avoid going sort of heavy into spoilers. But they're two new precursor races. And this, just like literally from what you can read on the store page, the Baul are sort of a hive mind tree-like people, and the Zroni were a sort of a psionic race, essentially. And you find these guys by completing a series of almost interconnected story arced missions via these archaeological dig sites. So there's quite an interesting way in which the process works. There are a number of powerful relics that you can collect. Now, these relics are usually gained by completing one of the aforementioned longer chains of archaeological dig sites. And then there are minor artifacts that you can get. Minor artifacts is basically an additional currency that is used to activate a few special and specific things. I got another science ship there and I didn't go and send it out, so let's go ahead and do that. We will almost certainly need another ship. like I said, I in no means or intention of having this being a sort of a full Let's Play. We're just going to find an archaeological site so I can show you guys how they work. I then do have another save game that I did before that I can jump into just to show you guys what happens with like relics and artifacts after you've uncovered a few. Because it does take quite a while to actually get through and make the whole system work. Now, one issue that you do have with these archaeological dig sites is they do have to be within your territory in order for you to be able to excavate them. So you do find instances where you are having to fight your neighbours to try and grab them. They are quite worthwhile, and you will get missions that are based around them. If you go over onto the menu, you will see that Traditions now says Traditions and Relics. You have an extra little tab down here at the bottom, and you can see that there are 6 relics that you can get, and there are also these minor artifacts. So this is where you see the currency. This is something I struggled with when I first started playing this. I'm like, well, okay, where has this extra currency gone? So as you can see, we found the Cybrex. The Cybrex are a precursor that have been in the game for quite some time. But you can now see that we actually, beginning the Precursors Cybrex event chain, minor artifacts found 5. So that minor artifacts thing is new. And you will see that that now appears up here. This is what I really struggled with when I first did this, because I'm like, well, where do I see that resource? Where does it go? It's hidden away here under Traditions and Relics on the Relics tab. And as you can see, these minor artifacts allow us to do a number of things. So we can sell them 500 energy per artifact, which is quite nice. We can spend 2 to gain 100 unity. And it also gives us, for 120 months, so 10 years, we get Xenophile Ethics Attraction plus 50%. There's a few here that are sort of hidden. So we won't really go into what those are here, because like I said, I don't want to spoil too much stuff. Performance competition is actually a planetary decision. So if you activate this, it becomes a planetary decision. So performance competition, and discover precursor insight, which basically gives us the location of a precursor site. If I just go back into here again, what was that called? Performance competition. Not too sure if we can even see it without activating it. Yeah, initiate performance competition. So basically it gives us executives and managers output plus 10% for 10 years. So those minor artifacts do have some uses, but it's the relics that really make all of the difference here. So we'll go ahead and hopefully we will find a site. I'm very, very tempted to just go into the shipyard here and get another science ship. I'm not going to be colonising, but of course we will need to expand our territory if we do want to grab one of these things. So we'll definitely be doing that. Let's move down here and just do all of the adjacent systems. Normally I end up finding one within the first couple of planets, so I'm a little bit sort of weirded out that I haven't. Let's go ahead and get ourselves another scientist. It doesn't really matter who. So you can do. So we've got another science ship there. You're going to go out and survey this one. So we're running on the fastest speed. We'll just send these survey ships out, and hopefully we'll find a relic site that we can deal with. And then I can show you how that mechanic works. Overall, I think I've probably done about half, maybe just over half of the different sites and the different storylines that are involved with this pack. I quite like it. It was interesting to read. I did do the entire chain for the Baul. I haven't found the Zroni yet, but I did do the entire chain for the Baul, and I actually quite liked that. It was quite an interesting thing to do. Let's go Discovery, because we can speed up our survey speed if we get high enough. And yeah, I do like the story elements of it. I know when I play these games on YouTube, I do tend to rush through a lot of the story side of things. But if I'm playing on my own, just for my own amusement, I do tend to spend a little bit more time reading those things and, you know, really getting into it. And I do quite like what they've done with it. I'm having a lot of bad luck here actually finding something. Let's take our construction ship, and I'm going to go down here and just basically grab a star base here in case one of these ends up having an archaeological site. because like I said, you do really need to have it in your territory before it allows you to do anything with it. In the meantime, we need a new building here. I guess we could do with some more food. Let's grab that. We've discovered a new archaeological site. There we go. The archaeological site is down here. Excellent. Before we can do anything with it, we will need to finish surveying the system, which is what we're doing now. So we'll let that system finish surveying. We need to grab this down here with our construction site, which we will do. And before we can start to survey the archaeological site, we will need to go ahead and claim that system for ourselves. So that's fine. That's actually working out quite nicely. You are finished here. You can go up there and survey that system. You can move here, but you can't build the outpost yet because we haven't finished surveying the system. That's fine. Ooh, 2 planets. What have we got there? A savannah world and a tropical world. Have we found any relic worlds yet? I think the relic worlds you usually end up finding as part of quest chains. There we go. We've done all of that there. I'm going to leave the scientist here, but let's go ahead and grab the outpost because we will need to do that. Won't take too long because we are running on the fastest speed. And as soon as we've grabbed it, I can start showing you how the archaeological site works. And show you how it is similar.
I found something.
Show you how it is similar to a siege in EU4. I know that sounds weird, but when I started to look at the mechanic, I went, this actually is. It is just a siege. There we go. So it's now ours, which means we... Is that the same site? Apparently... No, there's another one over here as well. So let's go ahead and send that construction ship over to that one. Going into orbit there. Okay, so we have this archaeological site here. And this is called the Deja Vu Dig. Now, these are the individual chapters, so there's nothing here, nothing to report. So this is the site summary when you first find the site. This is the first chapter, and then if there are any more chapters, they will appear one by one as you complete each part of the dig. So this is one particular site, the Deja Vu Dig. Scans of Antac Rom 1 uncover an artificial chamber deep beneath the surface, its purpose and origin unknown. Magnification revealed an excavated shaft leading from the surface to a subterranean vault. Further analysis will require sending an expedition down to the surface of Antac Ram 1. So, what we basically have here, first of all, we have to assign a scientist to it. Have they changed this now? It used to be that you had to have a science ship in orbit. Bear in mind, I'll be honest, the last time I played this it was still in the beta. So maybe this has now been changed. These are all guys who I think are out in their ships. You are here. So can I just get you to work on it? Not you. Excavate site, yeah. So we just do it that way. So if we click on this now, yeah, here's a sign. So it's just, you do need to have someone in orbit. It's just, there are 2 ways of doing it. So now that we've started, we're actually on to chapter 1. There's still nothing to report here. So we can see that we have our scientist. This is our log. Now, when I say this is like an EU4 excavation, this is the reason why. So at the top here, we have our excavation phase. Archaeological sites are excavated in phases. At the end of each phase, a progress roll is made. And the next phase ends in 82 days. It started at 90 days, I think. And that is basically like the siege timer, the siege tick in EU4. In EU4, you have a siege tick that lasts X number of days, and at the end of those that tick, you have a dice roll. This is our breakthrough chance, currently at minus 50%, and as you can see at the bottom, it tells us there what... well, every time a phase roll ends, a dice, 1 to 10, is rolled, and the result of the roll is added with our skill bonus and clues, then subtracted by the difficulty. So this is pretty much exactly the same way that a siege works in EU4. The difficulty is basically the level of the fort, which increases the difficulty. Our skill bonus is basically our siege bonus, which in EU4 is given by the siege pips on your general and also on any artillery you have. In this case, it's our scientist skill. And then we have clues. Clues is basically the same as siege progress. So every time you have a new phase, you essentially get a dice roll that will increase the chances of getting a breakthrough. Now, there are random events that can happen while you are researching one of these sites, and those random events can set your progress back, or they can improve your progress. But we're going to see how that works here so I can show you guys it in action. So at the end of the first phase, we've got a negative 50% chance. Nothing happens there, really. We rolled a 3. Our result, we rolled a 5. Our skill bonus is 2, which basically puts us up to 7. Difficulty is 4. That puts us back down to 3. So our result was a 3. Results of 5 or less are a failure and add 0 clues. So we didn't get any clues. So that's how that works there.
Planetary exploitation forecast.
While we're waiting, let's go ahead and get ourselves the outpost over there before we can start doing that one. We could send the site... Right, where's the other science ship? The more of these that I can find, the easier and quicker it'll make it to show you guys. But like I said, I will switch over to my other save game just so that I can show you them working. So that was another phase. Again, we had the same thing. We rolled a 5, which ended up being a 3 when you take our difficulty into consideration. What happened there? Was that a different one? No, okay, so this is the set. So that's chapter 1 basically. The excavations carried out by our archaeologists at Antac Ram 1 have somehow activated several ancient sentinel droids. These hostile robots made short work of. I think there's an error there. There's a missing word. These hostile robots made short work of our scientists before they could be permanently deactivated with weapons fire. A significant setback. Adds -2 clues, and we have actually, well, we haven't lost a science ship, but you can go, oh no, yeah, the scientist's actually dead. We didn't lose the ship, but we did lose the scientist, which is unfortunate. So let's just go ahead and grab another guy, and now you can go back to excavating that site. Let's go ahead and just grab survey speed increase. So we've got a second dig site here. This is Moonbump. Even with the naked eye, it was easy to see something highly irregular in the shape of Mang 4. The smooth curvature of the surface is suddenly interrupted by a gigantic spherical bump. At some point, a moon or large asteroid collided with the planet, but it must have done so in a fairly delicate manner, merely lodging itself in the planet's crust rather than rendering it asunder. So again, we've got our scientist over here. We can use that scientist to start excavating that site. We don't really need to do too much with this guy right now. We'll probably bring that other science ship back and start looking. But in the meantime, let's keep looking at these excavation sites and see if we can actually get to a second chapter. So we can actually see now we have a negative 60% chance because we only have a scientist skill bonus of 1 here. This is a new scientist. He hasn't leveled up yet, so he's only level 1. So he only has a level 1 skill bonus. So we're not doing very well here in terms of our dice rolls. Let's get that science ship down here, surveying a few more systems. How's this one going for us? Again, this is only difficulty level 3, and our skill bonus is 1. Now, this one was actually good for us. We got a result of 6, so we actually rolled an 8. With our skill bonus makes a 9. The difficulty is -3, so that basically gave us a 6. A 6 to a 10 is progress, and that adds 1 clue. So the fact that we now have 1 clue means that when we do our next dice roll, that 1 clue will be added to our roll, and every single time that increases our chance of completing the site, getting a breakthrough. Go and look at this one again. Some take longer than others. That one's on 60 days. This one's already... So that one has 90-day ticks. This one only has... Well, this one has 90-day ticks as well. So again, this time around, we have a result of a 6. We rolled an 8 with our... No, it's this one, sorry. We rolled an 8. We have a skill bonus of 2, so our scientist has leveled up. That's a 10. We have 1 clue, which makes an 11. -3 difficulty puts us back down to an 8. But an 8 is still a progress, and it gives us another clue. So on the next roll, we'll have 2 clues. So again, it is just like Siege progress in EU4. We're not getting any clues here. This is unfortunate. We're getting really bad rolls. That's mostly because this is quite difficult. So we really need to get some high rolls in order to be able to get anything here. But we will keep our eye on that. We haven't had any more sites to excavate in a while. We've now, look at that, we actually rolled a 10 on that last one. So we rolled a 9 plus 2 clues plus 2 skill. So that gave us a 10. That still only gave us 1 additional clue. If you get an 11 to a 13, that will actually give us 2 clues. So now we're up to 4 clues here. You can see there's still a 0% chance of a breakthrough, but we are getting closer. Over here, we actually have had a couple of good rolls. We've now got 2 clues. That's going to make it easier. It's progressing this number forward. We actually had a green progress there. We rolled a 13. That gave us 2 clues. There's now a 20% chance that we will actually get a breakthrough here. So if we roll a 14 or more, we will automatically finish this chapter of the dig site. We probably won't. We didn't. We rolled a 10, but that gives us another clue, so that increases our chances on the next tick. Over here, things are still doing pretty badly. We have gained another clue now. That will help us out. So it is quite a lot like sieging. There again, we're up to 30% now. Extra clue. Now we're up to 50% because we rolled an 11. That gave us 2 more clues. So we now get plus 9 on our next attempt. Archaeological site is pending. And we keep getting like negative things here that keep messing us up. So this is what I was saying about the random events. Our archaeologists working on Antac Ram 1 have reached a highly unstable section of the ruins. Several archaeologists were recently killed when a ceiling collapsed on them. TR emerged unscathed from the debris, but work at the site has been momentarily halted. So that actually gives us -1 clues. We've actually lost a clue because of that, so it's slowing us down. So we'll keep our eye on this one over here. And normally each time you complete a chapter, you will get... So there we go, we've completed chapter 1 here now. So dead center. Preliminary... So if we go back and look at... Well, we can't do it on this particular one. I have to click back in a moment. Preliminary excavations indicate that the celestial object came straight down on top of a sprawling city. At the time of the impact, the inhabitants were at a technological level on a par with early spaceflight. As Mangfor currently does not sustain any sapient species, it is reasonable to assume that the event was the beginning of the end of this civilization. It is unclear whether the giant rock landed smack on top of the city by design, or if it was just a bizarre, catastrophic accident. And as you can see, for completing that, we gain 5 minor artifacts. Now, once we click on that button, we now have chapter 2. So we can see chapter 2, we can go back and read chapter 1, and we can go back to the site summary if we want to. So now we're working on chapter 2. Sometimes the difficulty goes up and things sort of restart for us here. So every time you complete a chapter, you normally gain... Every time you complete a chapter, you normally gain some form of... Let's just shut this guy up. Every time you complete a chapter, you usually gain some form of minor artifact. And then if you complete a chain of dig sites, and it's usually one of the more... the longer, more complicated chains, then you will end up with a relic. And the relics can be very, very powerful. I have gathered some, which, like I said, I will load up another save game and show you guys. If you want to avoid spoilers, then don't watch that part, because I'm going to be showing off 3 of the artifacts that I've managed to collect. Here we go again, unstable ruins. This is on the other planet, though. So again, we can either lose 2 clues, or we can spend 100 energy to gain 3 clues. Well, we'll do that then. So now we're automatically at 4 clues. So sometimes you are given options that allow you to sway how these things go. Let's just quickly grab the sciences. Not that it matters. Like I said, I'm not really doing a full playthrough here, so I'll just grab anything. I don't really care. Some of these events, some of these archaeological chains do end up with you having to do some very, very difficult things. Like, for example, there is one particular one that requires you to fight one of those very large Titan space creatures that is like almost impossible to kill without an absolutely colossal like 15-20k fleet. So you do end up in positions where you finish one of these archaeological chains, but then you just end up having to wait.
I found something.
An archaeological site has been fully excavated. So that's going to be this one over here now. As you can see, it's gone grey, which means it is now finished. So this is the Cosmic Nudge. The mystery of the crashed moon has been solved. The city it landed on was utterly destroyed, of course, so it was a So it was a ruined suburb outside the impact zone that the revelation was found. A digital fragment recorded mere hours before the calamity struck spoke of strange lights with electromagnetic readings in the night sky. A bright flash was seen, and within minutes the moon was slowly descending towards the doomed city. It is established, with a very small margin of error, that vessels of some powerful alien civilization appeared over Mangfor and deliberately nudged the moon out of its geosynchronous orbit and towards the surface. They appear to have deliberately slowed the moon's descent, although we cannot say if it was due to an intentional effort to preserve the rest of the world or their own later colonization, a psychological warfare tactic of mass terrorization, or something else entirely. Unfortunate. So that didn't give us any minor artifacts, but it did give us 350 society research, and once we take that, that is it. That is the end of that site. That's grayed out. This is a minor one, so there are no more chapters to do on that one. Some of the other ones will have more chapters to go through. There we go, we gained another clue there. I wonder if we'll ever actually get past the first chapter here. We'll leave that one be for now. I'm not too bothered by it. I do want to go and try and survey some more of these systems in the hope we'll find maybe one more of these things. Let's just go ahead and grab that. Did we get lucky? So, no, that one we got quite a low roll, so we didn't get any progress. I'm a little bit surprised. Normally I end up finding more dig sites than that early on. In my previous games, I've actually found quite a few sort of clumped all close together. I'll give this another couple of ticks to see what we get, and then I'll just load up that other save game just so that I can show you guys what I'd found on a previous run-through. This is a very difficult one, this. It's now hard, not hell. That's because we've got Skill 2 Scientist and we've got 6 clues. So we are definitely working our way towards it. We're probably not going to be lucky and just grab it in the next couple of ticks. 20% chance now. So we've got a 20% chance of getting a 14 or greater. And obviously the more clues we get, that increases the chance that we will get higher than that. Do have another free science ship that I could be using, but it's not really all that important. There's another clue. So if we go ahead and have a look at our traditions and relics now, you can see I'm now up to 10 of these minor artifacts. So, you know, they are quite worthwhile for using. They are quite powerful. It's a nice little addition. Now, I do believe, as usual with Paradoxes, there is a free patch that I think does add some of these systems in. I can never keep track of which things are added in the free patch and which bits are part of the actual DLC. But I do like this new archaeological system. It feels more sort of Star Trek-y, right? It's this science thing of not just going up to a planet and just clicking do research. There's more of a... They've obviously just taken a mechanic from one of their other games. They've taken a siege mechanic from EU4 and basically repackaged it and rebranded it for Stellaris, but it does give a bit more of an exploration and discovery feel to it. So here we go, we've now finished that chapter. It appears that the passageway descending towards the underground chamber has suffered some mishap in the past. A cave-in has filled the lower part of the shaft with boulders and dust, in turn making the excavation venture slow and frustrating. We can keep digging, gives us another minor artifact, and puts us on to the second chapter. Oh. If you've got the mouse in the wrong place, then the scroll wheel actually just zooms in and out. But there we go. So now we are working towards Chapter 2 and everything kind of restarts. So that is in essence how these archaeological sites work. I'm going to go ahead and load in one of my other save games, which was this one, just so that I can show you some of the relics that I've already found, because I do think some of them are quite good. So this is another game that I've been playing. Obviously, as you can see, I've made quite a bit more progress here, playing as the same nation. And my capital world is over here. No, it's not. Sorry, my capital world is down here. And as you can see, I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 archaeological sites just within my own borders, and then there's quite a few up here in my neighbours' borders as well that I couldn't get to. So archaeological sites, there's quite a lot of them around. If I go into my... let's just have a quick look at our exploration planner. Have we found any relic worlds? I thought I'd found some. Doesn't look like I have. Tomb Worlds, Savannah Worlds. Yeah, I haven't found any relic worlds. I know in one of my games I did, but not over here. Or did they? Are they the ones that then they renamed them to Tomb Worlds? Not sure. There are, I think Relic Worlds are different, but I haven't found any in this particular playthrough. So let's just go into our traditions and relics. So over here, you can see I'm up to 23 minor artifacts. Still haven't uncovered all of these, but here we go. These are 3 of the relics that I found. You can only have 6 relics, so I'm assuming that there are only 6 relics. If you don't want spoilers, stop watching the video now, but I'm not going to be too heavy on spoilers. I'm just going to show you what these relics are and just say a little bit about where I got them. So this first one, the Omni Codex, I don't actually remember where I got this one. It costs 150 influence to activate. And if I activate it, it spawns a population from an extinct species on one of my planet, which is quite cool. Now, it does have a 3,600 day cooldown. The cooldown is shared over all relics, so if you pop one, you can't use the others. It does have a passive effect of having giving me 1 gene modification point. Now this one here, the last bowl, this is actually part of the bowl line. It is what you get from finishing their quest line. It has a passive effect of giving me 10% population growth speed, but the active effect gives me the new bowl life seeding, granting the ability to turn 1 non-Ecumenopolis, non-Hive world, non-Machine world planet into a Gaia world. So this basically lets me turn a world into a Gaia world. How great is that? And then we've got the Rubricator. This is the one where I had to fight one of those huge dragon things. And this basically passively gives me 20 society research, but actively creates 30 minor artifacts. Let's go ahead. Oh, here is a relic world. I do have a relic world. This one here, Najaga Prime. So this is a relic world. If we go and have a look what there is, there's a lot of interesting buildings here that give you a lot of additional output. There's also quite a few blockers as well, like flooded reactor pits and things like that. But there's just some really, really good buildings that you get on these planets. They output a lot. So there's one other nice thing that they have added in, which I believe is part of the free patch, which is a really good thing. So previously, if you wanted to use automation, you could do it on planets and sectors. So you could go into one of your sectors, you could go into sector settings, and you could automate whether you wanted it to be balanced, production focused, manufacturing focused, or research focused. That is per sector. What you can actually do now is per planet, you have this little button here, you can turn automation on and off, and you can go, if you turn the automation on, you can go in and pick what you want them to work on per planet, rather than per colony, which is really good. Another thing that you can do now with planets and sectors is you can actually have a shared stockpile that you can pay energy and minerals into. You can do it manually, or you can set up a monthly transfer, and that stockpile is then used by the automation to build. So that is basically the Ancient Relics story pack. I really like it. If you like the exploration element of Stellaris, if you like the story element of Stellaris, and you've always liked uncovering the precursor races and, you know, reading all the text boxes and finding out what happened to these planets and these civilizations and where all of these strange ancient derelict ships come from and stuff like that, it's a really, really good story pack to get. I really, really like it. Like I said, very light on mechanics, which is usually what you find with these story packs, and the main mechanic they have added in is just the siege mechanic from EU4, but it does work quite well, and yeah, I'd recommend it. It's not particularly expensive, it's about $10. Go and check it out. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next video, and until then, goodbye for now.